Kerala is experiencing a major demographic shift with its elderly population projected to hit roughly 23% by 2036. The state's recent legislative steps, including the Kerala State Elderly Commission Act and the setting up of the Department for the Aged, reflect a crucial transition toward a formal, rights based structural framework. Dr. Joe Thomas is a prominent public health and social development scholar who has written extensively on Kerala's demographic transition. He was Secretary General of the Global Commission on Aging in Developing Countries, addressing aging related policy consultation in 15 countries. He has edited a book on aging in the Global South based on the lessons from 8 countries. Dr. Thomas says the narrative of aging should shift from welfare dependency to entitled human rights. In this interview, we will engage Dr. Joe Thomas on the potential architecture, the governance hurdles of Kerala's institutional shift towards managing its aging population. Welcome, Dr. Joe, to this conversation.
Thank you.
We would like to know why there is an awakening on aging. There is clearly an attempt to address the issue at policy level. What do you make of all of this?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this discussion. Kerala government has constituted a new Department of Aging, and that is something extremely new and a new direction in the national policy towards aging population in India. So this needs to be looked at from a different perspective. One is from a sheer demographic number. When you look at the demographic profile of aging population, the national level, that's approximately 11 to 12% of the population are 60 plus. Whereas we look at Kerala, the population of 60 plus is almost 22%. And it is projected to go up to 30 by 2036. And also the life expectancy of Kerala is almost 75, whereas the national expectancy is only 70. Then again, another dynamics of the gender difference is coming up. There are higher life expectancy of women in Kerala, that is about 78. So there is a demographic shift is coming up, particularly to the Kerala population, which forced the Kerala society and Kerala government to act and respond to this particular demographic phenomena. And I congratulate for that, because no other state is forced to or thought about moving that towards direction. This has got two implications. One is on a national implication as well as a global implication. The national implication is that Kerala may lead a aging response model based on the data, evidence, and administrative experience Kerala may gain. So this is one of the gain. And the national level, Kerala model for responding to age may be the national model. And globally also, very few global south countries or developing countries manage to address the aging population and aging response in the context of the global south. And I'm emphasizing the experience of the global south because the aging related response and aging related challenges in the global south and the global north are different. And the philosophy is different, the response is different because of various reasons. One major reason is that the resource base of the developing countries is not at par with developing countries. So the developed countries model may not be able to implement as it is in the developed country point of view. See, for example, there's a Chinese saying, the society is becoming old before the society is rich. Means the society is not rich enough to take care of the concerns of the aging population. So this is what you look at as, the Chinese saying of people are getting old before they're getting rich. This is applicable to all the developing countries, because how do we deal with the issue of aging population, because the society is not resourceful enough to address the aging population as it is done in the global north or the developed countries. This is some of the major challenges, and I can explain on that based on if you have any other to take it forward, any other question, I can move
Yes.
to that direction.
Yeah. In your articles and interviews, you have argued that elder care must transition from family charity or discretionary state welfare to an enforceable rights-based model. How can a dedicated department ensure that elder well-being is treated as a strict legal entitlement?
To understand this particular concern, you have to understand the Global Covenant for Human Rights. We have rights, Global Covenant on rights for children. We have Global Covenant for the rights of women, and we have the covenants for indigenous population. But at the same time, we have a globally mandated covenant for the rights of aging population. But this is something which is, the global community is already addressing it. There is a global committee is formed to create a multinational, a multi-stakeholder committee is formed to create a global convention on aging populations' rights. So that way, we are at the forefront. And probably this new department may be able to lead this discussion at the national level, even at the global level. So this is conceptual level, theoretical level and practical level, and promoting and developing a Kerala model of aging response. And there's a right opportunity to present it to the global level, saying that the Kerala model of dealing with aging could be a global model. So this is one of the major opportunity. But at the same time, the aging approach to the aging is considered as a charity. It's a welfare response to the aging population. But my argument is that we should move towards, it's in the broader framework of human rights. The rights of the elderly population should be respected as any other person. Or
Right.
we may have to look at maybe an equity based, maybe we need some special additional concern for the rights of aging population. So whatever the aging related institutional mechanism, the programs we are creating in Kerala, and we can make it work and we can make it prove as a Kerala genuine model is emerging. That will have one is administrative component. How do you administrate? And what are the minimum programs we may have? And also legally, constitutionally, how this will be done. And also the Kerala government is proposing an aging commission. That commission is, how do you work on the commission's work? See, for example, we are not proposing to create a parallel healthcare system for the whole population. The commission and the entire ministry's work is to act as an advocate to ensure the rights of the aging population. Within the rights, we might look at the gender, the aging population, women who are going to outlive men. And their issues, how do you going to deal with? And one of the main issues what we are noticing in the Kerala data is more women are outliving men, but their quality of life is going to suffer. Probably 75, 80 onwards, the quality of life is suffer. And also when we look at the dementia, there are more women are subjected to or more vulnerable towards dementia. So these are some of the preliminary observation I have about the new initiative Kerala government is taking. And I would say the new opportunities are coming from the Kerala context.
Okay. How can this new administrative department maintain distinct enforcement ability without becoming just another passive advisory layer over the existing social justice department?
So this is what I said in the Kerala model of implementing aged rights for aging population and facilitating an active, healthy aging population. And maybe one of the challenge, the slogan for Kerala could be the first age-friendly society, age-friendly state in India. So this could be one of our goal and objective of Kerala aging response. So when you look at it, that this requires certain administrative component as well. The main implementing partner is at the grassroots level, maybe at the panchayat level. So that's what we are thinking about. Each panchayat should have their own minimum program of action. And probably they should begin with each panchayat should have an elderly welfare officer. And he or she should be responsible for the aging related activities in the panchayat or promoting age-friendly panchayat in Kerala is a responsibility of this officer with the support of the panchayat administration. And also what you remember is that there are 741 panchayat in Kerala. So the backbone could be the 741 aging welfare officer could be the focal point of how do you promote aging. And, and the panchayat level again, I would also say that the panchayat level work plan should be developed for the aging population. So then we may be able to make certain changes. And the state level, the state aging commission and the aging ministry, they have to set broader parameters. How this will be implemented at the panchayat, and also at the corporation level, municipal corporation. So this is the broader administrative focus under the overall guidance of the ministry and the overall guidance of the Commission for Aging. So this is my overall recommendation. But we can come out with the detailed work plan for a panchayat and the state level. Within 1 year, we'll have we may have to change or shift our discussion about aging, because generally in the Kerala context, the retirement age is equated as when you begin the aging. This discourse need to be changed. Retirement for work and aging, these are two different phenomena. And also, this is an administrative phenomenon when you retire from certain age, but the cognitive capacity may be intact for the person who administratively retired. And for doing that, probably we had to look at our laws related with work, because the work is not 9 to 5, work is not Monday to Friday. An aging person may work for 2 days in a week, couple of hours in a day, but still that person should be considered as working person. And why this is important? When you look at the aging, one of the key strategies for promoting healthy aging is promoting social connection. Yes. And you may be surprised to know that the quality of aging person is linked with that person's social connection. So one of the major activity of our promoting healthy aging is promoting social connection. Yes. So this is not a medical issue. Aging is not a medical issue. This is broadly there are social determinants, but the geriatric care is only one aspect of the broader aspect of aging. So our discourse about aging need to be changed. So I would say that, generally I would say that all our ideas about aging are old ideas. We need to create a new discourse about aging. And I would even say that in a different context, for example, people say that India is a young population and we have a demographic dividend provided we invest on the young population, on their health and their education. Similarly, you invest on aging population, you have a second demographic dividend. There is a significant social, economic and political benefit of investing in the aging population, because there are young old and middle-aged old and old or super old. Maybe 80 plus may be super old. Their cognitive ability may start deteriorating. But at the same time, the 80 plus old person and the 50 or 60 plus age population, these are not a homogeneous population. The cognitive capacity, their other ability, all different. But one thing we notice that to promote healthy aging, the key is promoting social connection. So at the panchayat level, how do you promote social connection? National level, we promote social connection. This is one of the main aspect of intervention activity. Second is about access to primary care and primary health. Primary care, I'm focusing on preventive intervention, whereas primary care is providing care and support. So primary health, access to primary health, as well as access to primary health care. Because aging population, and I mentioned about the 741 panchayat, all the aging population, they should be able to access their healthcare needs at the community health center. And community health center may have a minimum 30-bed hospital, and maybe 1 or 2 person may be able to admit on a day care basis, on 1 or 2 day care basis. So we need to strengthen our primary care and primary healthcare system and primary health system to accommodate the health concern of the aging population. So one is we may look at the legal provision of the definition of aging that need to be changed. We need to change your discourse about aging, who is aging, at what stage you are going to age. And the third is about administrative support at the panchayat level. And again, we may look at, the aging people, how do you actively engage them in their activities? For example, a person administratively retired may be able to provide a couple of hours job as an advisory basis to the position they retired from. And again, supporting the aging community, their association, is another way of supporting and promoting their social connection, which lead towards a healthy aging. So in nutshell, Kerala is getting a new opportunity to explore and develop a new aging model, aging response model, and which we can present it globally. And also we can lead the debate about the aging related right covenant at the global level. So this is opportunity which is there for in Kerala.
Right. So what you're saying is that we are sitting on another big opportunity there, and that it's another opportunity for a paradigm shift as far as aging and related concerns. Um, Nationally and globally, there is still no binding treaty explicitly devoted to the rights of older persons. Given this lack of a global standard, what legal benchmark should Kerala use to measure the department's success?
See, one is what I mentioned, that the aging response should be based on the rights. See, for example, a person's access to healthcare as a right is to what extent it is adhered to. And also, when we did some of the survey in the aging concerns in some of the panchayat in Kannur, and we surprisingly discovered that about 10% of the population, their fear is fear of violence. And they genuinely worried about, they're getting worried about the violence from the community. And so maybe addressing the fear of violence through maybe personal safety, and there are various ways we can come out to say the personal safety. One is a neighborhood watch. If suppose somebody is staying all by themselves, and institutional care and community-based care and home-based care. These are the different models are coming. And each model, one of the components will be safety of the person is ensured. And the community level, the routine police beat, we could say that they will also look at the elderly population person who is living alone. They will be under the scrutiny, under the support of the beat police. And also you can create a panchayat level, a local level, the younger age population, 60 plus 65, or aging population at the same time, the healthy. They may be able to be supported as volunteers to take care of the senior aged population, 70, or the people who are bedridden, or the people who need the palliative care. And the palliative care support is already there is a system is evolving, and this is parallel to palliative care. And again, when you look at the care model, developed countries, this care is what we call a disengagement theory. If they're physically not well off, you disengage with that person and they remove that person from the society. And you keep that person institution basis. But the developed countries, the value of an elderly person is different from disengagement to engagement. Even at the older age, an elderly person is actively engaged with society. As an elderly person's right, elderly person's the person enjoys certain level of social respect. This is unique for the developing countries. So the aged response, aged care in the context of developed countries and in the context of Kerala will be a combination of home-based care, community-based care, institutionalized care, and different forms of institutionalized care and palliative care. So this spectrum should be evolved. And also I looked at that we have about 500 plus old age homes in Kerala. And that institution-wise, that's really a fragment of the institutionalization need of elderly population in Kerala. So we may be able to find out how do we address the aged care support need. And also, most of the aged care homes in Kerala, the workforce work on a charity base. But aged care is a professional, as a profession, and they need to be trained because you need a professional expertise to understand the difference between dementia related, I mean, what they call it as aging populations, a tantrum. But this is actually most of the time, this is a reflection of their dementia. So the understanding, diagnosing dementia and dealing with it, that requires certain level of professionalism among the caretakers. So one of the Ministry of Aging Population in Kerala or the Aging Commissioner's work is, it should be mandatory that all the aged care worker in Kerala must be professionally qualified.
Right.
And that professional qualification should be endorsed by the Kerala state. So, for example, end of the first year, they should have a minimum level of quality of training for the elderly care, a quality assured training for the care provider of the aging population in Kerala. This is the one. And second, all the aged institutions should be mandatorily employing people who are qualified and trained in aged care. Then again, we may come out with the minimum quality of care for the elderly homes. Even we may look at the architectural design of the aged homes, because I have had opportunity to visit many aged homes in Kerala. They're just another house. It's not taken into consideration of the fall prevention, the capacity to hold on the wall, and also hand railing and the access to the walking. Instead of footsteps, there is accessible without footstep. So even the architecture of the aged care homes in Kerala should be recovered. I mean, redesigned and reallocated. So in nutshell, we need to have a professional level of aged care in Kerala. That should be the responsibility, and ensuring, and the minimum standards is a responsibility of the Aged Commission and the Aged Ministry, and also standardizing the care pattern of it. And again, I looked at the geriatric care, the medical input. Probably all over Kerala, we have about less than 20 geriatric specialists in Kerala. So this may be another issue we might really look at it. The level of access to geriatric care physicians is an important part of our geriatric care thing. So policy level should reflect that aged care and support for the aging population, it's not a charity. As an individual, that person should have a right, and that person's support and care should be based on the right, not as a charity. So this should be one of the important part of it. At the same time, we should integrate the level or concept of charity, that piety, taking care of elderly, is part of the cultural dimension of many of the developing countries, including India. So if we integrate this, as I mentioned earlier, the Kerala model should have a individual care and self-care by the aging population. They should have a home-based care. They should have a community-based care and institutionalized care. So this is a spectrum. In this process, we have to bring in new care providers. And all the care providers, they are the community-based care provider, home-based care provider, all should have a minimum standard. And also we notice that we don't need all the aged population are institutionalized or care provider. At the community level, this work should be done by existing ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers. And why is it Anganwadi workers? That there are many panchayat, there is something called Pagalveed, a retreat for the elderly population to go and spend some time. But the Pagalveed in Kerala is a men's weed. It's a male house. Women they don't have access. So probably the aging women in Kerala could be linked with Anganwadis. So Anganwadi caretakers and ASHA workers should be paid an additional honorarium to take care of the aging population in their catchment area. But they also trained in aged care related thing. So the Kerala model will be, one, this is a spectrum of care opportunities. Two, there's a strong prevention component. Three, treatment at the panchayat level, at their residential level, access to that level. And also the entire service is based on the right-based approach. So this is what some of the major element of this evolving Kerala model of aged care. And also Kerala should take leadership in the global engagement about the global treaty on aging population's rights, because of our data, evidence, and also experience. And since I mentioned about the data, I just want to elaborate on that. I mentioned about the difference in aggregated data. The aggregated data national level is at 12%. But we look at the aggregated data of state-wise aggregated data, we can see that Kerala, 18.7% is the Kerala. That's one of the highest aging population among other states. But when we look at the aging population in the district level, for example, take the case of Pathanamthitta, it goes up to 28%. But take some of the ward and panchayats, and some of the ward we notice that 35% of the population is 60 plus. So the data access and the data-based policy making has got a serious lacuna. We are not reflecting the data because data is not collected, disaggregated. So one of the aging related response in Kerala should be, all the panchayats should be annual basis disaggregated data on aging population. And the panchayat level aging policy should be based on the disaggregated aging policy from aging data from the panchayat level. So data disaggregation is important aspect of the response to the aging population in Kerala.
So this is an opportunity for a holistic process to be developed, for benchmarks to be developed, and for looking at aging from a holistic perspective. So my next question is, therefore, ageism drastically impacts older individuals' access to employment, healthcare, and digital resources. What specific public policy tools should the department deploy to actively dismantle this systemic ageism?
Today we have a general understanding about what is exclusion and discrimination. See, we don't discriminate people based on the gender. We don't discriminate people. We are not expected to discriminate people based on the caste, community, religion. There is a legal protection. Suppose there is somebody from a SC/ST community is discriminated, there are legal protection to ensure that that person who is discriminated will be brought under the law. At the same time, we don't have a legal framework and non-discrimination against aging population. Based on the age, there is no legal mandate to discriminate a person based on the age. So this is one of the issues we had to look at, that discrimination based on the age is as illegal as many other discrimination. So this is one of the new dialogue, new discourse we have to bring in there. And this will have an implication on that. When you say that age is not a discriminatory factor, the age-wise advertisement of the post, employment post, it needs to be challenged, because the capacity of person is not based on a numerical age. It should be based on the cognitive capacity. We can say that a person will be subjected to a cognitive test. That is allowed, but not necessarily because that person is 55, that person is not allowed to apply for certain posts. This needs to be changed. And people may say that this will not create any imbalance among the unemployed youth. If you look at carefully, unemployment and aging and the retirement, there is no clear connection. These are the political dialogue. Politically, we say that the employment and retirement should be based on 60, 65, whatever age. That varies from department to department and context to context.
That's a big paradigm shift you're talking about.
Exactly. And discrimination based on the age as a number need to be challenged. Like other discrimination based on the issue of a caste, class, community. And there are strong laws which is binding, which is challenging the discrimination. The age as a number, as a criteria for discrimination need to be challenged. This should be one of the major contribution of the Aging Commission and the Aging Ministry in Kerala. This is a very controversial issue. This needs to be challenged. This needs to be debated. We have to look at what are the implications. One of the important issues is that we need to reform our legal framework. In the legal framework, we have to bring in very clearly saying that discrimination based on the age is illegal. So this is one of the major shifts we are proposing.
Rather than seeing a large senior population as a financial drag, can the state treat it as an economic opportunity? How can the department structure a viable silver economy that leverages the skills, mentorship, and civic potential of older adults? That's what comes out of what you just said.
Yeah, my comment is that this idea of the social burden, aging population as a social burden, it came from the developed countries' understanding about aging. I mentioned that disengagement. The disengagement theory is a theory of intervention among the aging population in the developed countries. They disengage them and keep them in an institution. So the moment you disengage them, they become a liability. Whereas in developing countries, many of the countries, like even state like Kerala and India, other parts, aging population is not necessarily a burden. And they continue to work. If you look at the rural agrarian population, people work till 70, 75, till they can work. And that should be based on voluntary basis. That's the important part of it. They should not be forced to do that. If they work after certain age, that work should be as a pressure they should work, not necessarily for survival. So this is a shift we are proposing that. So aging, mandatorily we say that 55, 60, somebody retiring, that doesn't mean that that person is not productive. So we need to discover ways in which how to capture the productivity force of the so-called aging population.
So it
And
can be a win-win situation for the state, the society, as well as the family.
we need policy shift. We need creative
Yes.
thinking. We need creative way of creating employment opportunity for aging population. And also remember that in many societies, the aging population is the one who hold the property. They hold the community together. They hold the families together, and they have a custodial right in taking care of the many of issues. And quite often,
Right.
they are the dispute settlers informal basis. So, how do we tap the capacity of this so-called retired person, old person, and aging and retirement? These are two different processes. Our discourse about aging should decouple from the retirement age related discussion. So this is one of the major shifts we had to think about it.
With that, we come to the end of our conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Joe, for joining us today. And as you said, this is a great opportunity for the Kerala government to take this forward, as with many other parameters, with many other human development index parameters, where Kerala has led the way. Let's hope this also will become a benchmark for others to follow. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe.
Thank you very much, and I hope our discussion will lead towards a further debate about aging-related Kerala model indicators may be evolving, and that could be one of the major contribution of the new initiative of the Aging Ministry and Aging Commission. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me for this discussion. Thank you very much.
And thanks everyone for watching this edition of Policy Circles podcast. Hope to see you soon.